Myself, Dr. Anindya Sundar Das. I am working as Assistant Professor in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering in Swami Vivekananda Institute of Science and Technology, Dakshin Govindpur, Kolkata. In last lecture, I discussed about introduction of control system, and in today's lecture, this is the lecture number 2. I will discuss about transfer function and stability of a control system. Okay. Now, in this topic, let me first tell you the basic points that I discussed in last lecture. That is the example of control system. Okay, CISO, single input, single output control system, and this is the example of open loop control system. That means we have a battery and we can set the speed and we can apply to DC amplifier which can control the DC motor, and this will rotate at particular speed. Okay, so this is the example of open loop control system. What is that? We can set the desired speed. Okay, controlling device is your DC amplifier that acts on the DC motor, which is the actuator. Actuator means which is working. Okay, and the process is the turnable. Okay, that means how we can the DC motor how it is turning. Okay, turntable. Okay, that we can find out the actual speed. This is the open loop control system. Why open loop? Because the speed of this DC motor we cannot control automatically. Okay, we have to set the speed is not controlled actually. Okay, whatever the desired speed, it is that speed. Okay, due to the environmental change, if your speed changes, then it cannot be varied. So how we can make it closed loop control system? We can attach a tachometer that will sense the speed, and it can give a signal which can compare with your set speed, okay, desired speed, and that error we can apply, okay, to the DC amplifier, so that your speed of the motor is the desired speed. So if this speed varies due to some external disturbances, this feedback will control this speed to the desired output, which we cannot achieve using this open loop system. But using this closed loop system, what we are doing, we are sensing the actual the speed of the motor using the tachometer, which is a sensor. Okay, and then we can compare with the desired speed. Okay, error is applying to DC amplifier, that will apply the manipulated variable to the actuator DC motor, and we can control the process. Okay, so this is the single input single output automatic or closed loop control system. This is the open loop control system, and this is the example of MIMO, multiple input multiple output system. So we can have multiple output that we can measure through feedback we can apply to the controller, and desired output response, that is the input reference input, we can compare and can apply to controller, we can control the process to get the desired output. Okay, so this is one example of multivariable control system. What we have feed, water, fuel, and air. Okay, using the valve we can control those into the boiler. Okay, and what will happen, uh, then we have some temperature unit and pressure measurement, temperature measurement sensors are there. Okay, we have some oxygen measurement sensor. Okay, so we have this sensor, and this is connected to the turbine, and your boiler is say boiling, so the stream are flowing through this, and turbine will rotate, and it will generate the using generator we can generate the electricity generated. Okay, and speed of governor of the turbine is there. Okay, there is a speed of turbine. Okay, so this speed of turbine, okay, and desired temperature, pressure, temperature, space pressure, air flow, fuel flow, feed water, oxygen measurement, all those set parameters are here, and all those data are there in the computer. Okay, and in this computer we have connected the measurement data, that is temperature measurement, pressure, oxygen measurement, those are there. Okay, and we are comparing those data with the set data. Okay, and then we are getting some output from the computer, which is the controller itself, and this is connected to this valve. So according to that, we can feed water, fuel, air in order to generate the actual electricity generated. That is applying to the computer itself. So there is the feedback. So this is another type of system. Okay, and that should control the speed of governor using the controller. So this is the example of multivariable controller, okay, or multi-input, multi-output control system. Now let me tell you about what is transfer function. This is the new topic. Okay. Now the relationship between input and output of a system is described by the transfer function for a linear system only. Okay. So definition is the ratio of Laplace transform of the output to the Laplace transform of the input under the assumption of zero initial conditions is defined as transfer function. Okay. So it is it is only applicable for linear systems. Okay, only. So transfer function is applicable only for linear systems. Okay, so we cannot apply transfer function to non-linear systems because of the fact that for non-linear system this zero initial condition is not applicable. So for non-linear system we have initial conditions. That's why that is non-linear control system. Okay. So the transfer function of a system is the mathematical model expressing the differential equation that relates the output to input of the system. That means we can have a physical system and we can write down the mathematical model using the differential equation, because as you know, for mechanical systems, spring, mass, we can write a differential equation. From electrical point of view, RLC, okay, we can write a differential equation of that. Okay, so any physical system can be defined by a differential equation, and we can write a mathematical model of a system, okay, that relates the output to input relation. Okay, so that transfer function is the property of a given of a system independent of magnitude and nature of the input. That means what transfer function is nothing but we don't know about the magnitude and nature of input. What we know, Laplace transform of output by Laplace transform of input, which is the relation between output and input. Okay, so the transfer function includes the transfer function of the individual elements, but at the same time it does not provide any information regarding physical structure of the system. Okay, how they are physically connected and all these are not bothered. We are not bothered about that. We only bother about the relation, overall relation of output to input. Okay, and it can have many transfer functions. So many blocks can be there. Those are connected together to provide to get some particular objective, to achieve some particular objective. And in that case what we are doing is we are finding out the output to input relation. Okay, the transfer functions of many physical different systems can be different or can be identical. Okay, shall be identical. If the transfer function of the system is known, then the output response can be studied for various types of inputs to understand the nature of the system. That means if we know the transfer function, okay, fine, let me talk about this point. Okay, that is what we can say is that if we have a control system, okay, and this is your output input, this is your output, we have a total control system. input is say your Laplace transform of input is Rs, this is your Cs. Okay, so transfer function is nothing but Cs by Rs. Okay, so what we can say that Cs we can write as Cs equal to transfer function into Rs, right? Cs equal to transfer function into Rs. So if we know transfer function of a system, then we can apply many different type of input and we can observe it the output of this transfer system. So if we know the transfer function of this system, okay, then we can apply many different type of input, okay, and we can predict what is the output. So that we can do. Okay, now if the transfer function is unknown, okay, it may be found out experimentally by applying known inputs to the device and studying the output of the system. Okay, if transfer function is unknown, we have to do experimentally, we have to find out experimentally. But if you know the transfer function of the system, output response can be studied for various type of inputs very easily. Okay, that is the point. Now how we can obtain the transfer function? We have to write the differential equation of the system. Okay, we have to write differential equation of the system, then we have to take Laplace transform of the differential equation, assuming all initial condition to be 0. So this is the most important point. Okay, that's why it is only applicable for linear system. That's why it is only applicable for linear system. Okay, for non-linear system, initial condition is not equal to 0. Okay, then we can take the ratio of Laplace transform output to the Laplace transform of input. This is called transfer function. Okay, now a control mathematical model of a control system, how we can do that? A control system is a collection of physical objects connected together to serve as an objective. The mathematical model of a control system constitutes a set of differential equations. Okay, now what is the use of transfer function? So if you know transfer function of a system, what we can find out? We can find out the stability of the system very easily, time domain and frequency domain characteristics of the system we can predict or we can find out by applying different type of input. Okay, then we can find out response of the system for any given input. Okay, so these are the factors that we can find out very easily if we know the transfer function of the system. Which type of system? Again I am telling you, only for linear system. Okay, only for linear system. Now let us see that what is transfer function. In that point, say we have a system, okay, whose transfer function is whose function is gt. We are applying input rt, output is ct. Okay, so ct is output, rt is input, gt is system function. So we have to perform Laplace transform. So rt becomes rs, here gs, cs. So gs equal to cs by rs, which is the transfer function. So therefore the transfer function is given by gs equal to Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input when initial conditions are equal to 0. Okay, so gs equal to cs by rs. Now let's say how we can find out transfer function of a closed loop system. So this is the example of the closed loop system. What we have, output, desired output, we are taking feedback. So this is the feedback signal. Okay, that is applying to this comparator with the reference input. This is negative sign. Okay, and we are generating error signal. We can have controller and plant together as a gs. Okay, together as a gs, we are not having a separate controller and plant. So this is the combination of controller and plant, say. Okay, we can assume that, or we can assume this is as only the plant. Okay, there is no controller, then what will happen? So now we can find out the overall transfer function. Overall means we can consider this full factor as a whole. What will be the overall transfer function? Cs by Rs. Okay, inside we have BS, CS, all these two signal, error signal and feedback signal. So from that we can find out very easily this ES signal is nothing but RS minus BS. Okay, from that we can get RS. Now HS equal to what? This for this particular block, what you can write, output is here, right? So this is your output of this HS block, and this is your input of this HS block. So HS equal to what? Output by input, that is BS by CS. We are taking CS from here. Okay, so BS equal to this factor that we can write. Now gain of closed loop system is given by, that means for this GS, if you consider this GS block, this is your output and this is your input. So GS equal to CS by ES. Okay, so CS equal to what we know. Now CS equal to this factor. Okay, so ES already we know from this. Okay, so that ES we can put it here, RS minus BS. Now BS we know. Okay, that is multiplied factor. Fine. Now BS we know, HS into CS. So here BS we can put that value, HS into CS. Okay. Now we can take this CS part to the left hand side, GS, and we can take common factor. Okay, so CS equal to this factor. So here we can take GS RS here. Okay, CS plus this factor together. Okay, then we can find out CS by RS. Okay, that is equal to what? GS divided by 1 plus GS into HS. So this is one of the most important formula that we have to remember for this control system course. That is, if we have negative feedback, this is for negative feedback. Okay, this is for negative feedback. Okay, for negative feedback, that means we have GH connected here with negative sign with R. Okay, so for that the overall transfer function of that negative feedback system is GS divided by 1 plus GS into HS. Okay, where GS is the forward path gain and HS is the feedback path gain. Okay, this is your forward path, this is your feedback path gain. Okay, if it is negative feedback, if we change this to plus, okay, positive feedback, we can solve this way and we will find that it will be negative. Okay, so this positive sign comes for negative feedback. Okay, and this negative sign comes for the positive feedback, so opposite way. Okay, opposite side. So this is most important point. Now let us take example. Okay, let us take example, that is Laplace transform of passive element, that we know, we have studied that already, that if resistors are basically time and frequency invariant, so Laplace transform of resistor, that is only RS. Okay, and we know the relationship between voltage, current and capacitance in time domain, IT equal to C into dVdt. So from that we can find out V equal to 1 by C integration of IT dt. Okay, so here what we can say, that current in capacitor depends on derivative of voltage, or voltage across capacitor depend on integration of current. Okay, these two are differential equation. This is differential, this is integral. Okay, that means what we can say, that voltage value across capacitor cannot change instantaneously. Okay, so we can have initial value. So for L and C, these are the storage element. Okay, so we can have some initial value. Okay, so this system, if initial value equal to 0, then those systems are called linear system. If we have initial value not equal to 0, okay, then those inductor and capacitor systems, can become non-linear system. Okay, but for linear system you have to assume initial value equal to 0. Okay, so that is the for linear system. Now for in Laplace domain, what we can write? Now, if in Laplace domain, if you have to remember that if you have say dv by dt, if you convert Laplace transform, it will be s into vs. Okay, so derivative in lap time domain convert into Laplace domain by s multiplication, s into Laplace of vs. Okay, if it is integration, okay, I dt, then what will happen? The Laplace of I t, that is I is divided by s. So integration is replaced by in Laplace domain by 1 by s, okay, divided by s. Derivative is multiplied by s. So derivative and integration in time domain converts into Laplace domain into multiplication by s or division by s. That's why you have to use Laplace transform, because derivative and integration, that means a differential or integral equation can be replaced, can be converted to algebraic equation multiplied by s or divided by s. So vs we can write as 1 by s c, 1 by sc into is, 1 by sc into is. So vs by is equal to 1 by isc. Okay, therefore the Laplace transform of a capacitor for a capacitor with capacitance C is given by 1 by Sc. Okay, for a capacitor, V by Is, that is equal to basically impedance, so Xc, right? So Xc equal to 1 by S. Okay, so Laplace transform of capacitor. What capacitor? Actually Xc, that is the impedance, okay, of capacitor, 1 by Sc. Similarly for inductor the basic equation is V equal to L di dt. Okay, so from that what we can write, Vs equal to SL Is, right? So Va by Is, that is equal to Sl. So that XL equal to V by Vs by Is equal to Sl. So that the transform of inductor is replaced by S by L. S into L. Here it is for capacitor 1 by S. Okay. Now let us find out a transfer function of a RC network. Okay. So this is your system. Okay. This is your system, and you have to find out the transfer function of that system. I have taken example of an electrical system because this is known to you. You have studied in that in circuit theory or in network theory subject. Okay, so for that what we can do, we can apply the KVL for input loop. So this is the loop, this is the applied voltage VIT equal to R into IT plus voltage across this capacitor. Okay, drop across this resistance R into IT, that is according to Ohm's law, V equal to I into R, and current through this is 1 by C integration of IT dt. Sorry, voltage drop across this capacitor is Vc, which is nothing but 1 by C integration of IT dt, right? That we can write. Now taking Laplace transform of this equation, what we can write, VIT, so or VT, whatever may be, VIS equal to R into IS. Here integration means 1 by S, IT means IS, so 1 by SC IS. And the output voltage V0 is nothing but Vc, which is C dV dt. Okay, Vc V0t we can write as same value. Okay, 1 by C 0 to t it dt. Why we are taking 0? Because initial condition equal to 0. So we are considering from 0 to t. Okay, so this is the part. Now from here we can take Laplace transform. So V0 is equal to 1 by SC into IS. So here from that equation we can write IS equal to SC into V0S. Now we have to find out transfer function. That means what you have to do? We have to find out V0S by VIS, right? That you have to find out. So in that case, IS is known. So VIS, that we can write in terms of IS, right? So is we can take common, so r plus 1 by sc. Now is equation that we can put it here, okay? So sc into v0. So we got this equation. From that we can find out v0 by vis. Okay, so v0 by vis equal to 1 divided by this factor. Okay, 1 divided by this factor. So we can multiply that sc with, this is rsc plus 1 divided by sc cancel out. So it will be 1 divided by scr plus 1. So that will be your transfer function of this particular system. Okay. So from any system we can find out, if we know the differential and integral equation, we can find out the transfer function, that is output by input. This is the one example, okay, of a RC network. Let us take another example of RLC network. What we have RLC, okay. So if we apply KVL for this loop, okay, so what we can write, VIS into Laplace transform directly, okay. VIS equal to R into IS L di dt, okay, voltage across inductor L di dt means SL into IS, and here voltage is 1 by C integration of I dt, so 1 by SC IS, okay. So we can find out IS as a common factor, this one, V0S equal to what, 1 by SC into IS, okay. Now we can find out V0 by Vs, okay. So V0 by Vs we can find out. So V0 by Vs, if you put it here, IS will cancel out. Now we will have this factor. So we can add this one. So what we will get is SCR plus S square LC plus 1 by SC. So SC cancel out. So this will be the factor. Okay. So this is the transfer function of that particular system. So 1 by x square plus LC plus SCR plus 1. So this is the transfer function. So you can see here, this, if we have only R and C network, this transfer function, the S maximum power of S equal to 1. This is means first order equation. This is first order equation. Okay. If we have RLC, okay, what we can see, this S square term has power of 2. So this is the example of a second order equation. Okay. Now from this particular point, what is the point we are getting? Order of a system. Okay. Order of a system. So what we can say, the order of a control system is defined as the highest power of S, highest power of S present in denominator of a closed loop transfer function GS of unity feedback system. Unity feedback system means when Hs equal to 1. That means if we have a transfer block, this is your G, this is your H, okay, and this is feedback, and it is connected here, okay. This is your R, this is your G, this is your H, this is your C. C by R equal to G divided by 1 plus GH if it is negative feedback. H is equal to 1, that means unity feedback system. Anyway, so for this transfer function, what we can see, at denominator, what is the highest power of S, okay, that should be your order of the system. So this is for fourth order system, okay. And let us know about one point, that is proper system. A proper system is a system where the degree of denominator is larger than numerator polynomial. So these are the polynomial equation in terms of S. So that highest degree of denominator, degree of S of the denominator should be, if it is larger than numerator polynomial, it is called proper. If it is lesser than numerator polynomial, it is called improper. If both are equal, it is called biproper system. Or in some cases, we can say that if denominator degree, power of degree of highest power of s, okay, of denominator is larger or equal than the degree of numerator polynomial, then it is called proper system. Okay, so this is the one of the point that you have to remember. We have to apply this concept, order of system, proper system, later in this course. Okay. Now for this example, this is the transfer function. We have to find out the order. So if you multiply these three factors, we will get s cube term. So this is a third order system, and at numerator the power is s square. So s cube greater than s square. So it is an example of proper system. If say this is multiplied with s square term, okay, so this power become s to the power 4. Okay, so this is greater than this s cube term. This is for numerator, this is for denominator. Okay, then this will be improper system. Okay, the degree of the highest power of s, okay, highest power of s of numerator polynomial of a transfer function is higher than denominator polynomial, then it is called improper system. Okay, otherwise it is called proper system. Okay, now another example. So s cube into square s7 s square, so it will be s to the power 5, right, after multiplication. So it is a fifth order system and proper system because numerator has power of 1 only. Okay, so if the highest power, what is zero order system? Okay, now we know how to find out order. Now how to say your system is zero order system, first order system, second order system. Zero order system means if highest power of complex variable s present in characteristic equation is 0. Okay, characteristic equation means what? Forgot to tell you. Characteristic equation means whatever the denominator polynomial, okay, if you make it equal to 0, then it is called characteristic equation. This is your denominator polynomial. So if you write 1 plus t equal to 0, okay, then it is the, this is the characteristic equation. Okay, so if highest variable, okay, if the highest power of complex variable s present in the denominator is 0, then it is called zero order system. Okay, so for this particular system, what we can say, if we write 1 plus st, so we have to write here s to the power 0, right? S to the power 0 equal to 1 into t. Okay, so here s is not present, that means s maximum power equal to 0, then it is equal to 1. So this system is zero order system. Okay, example is amplifier type control system, or the example of first zero order system. That means highest power of s in denominator is equal to 0. Now first order system. First order means if the highest power of complex variable s present in the characteristic equation or present in the denominator is 1, then it is called first order system. As we have seen for the RC network, that we have found out transfer function of RC network, simple RC network, transfer function is 1 by 1 plus s into CR. Here, if we make this equal to denominator factor, if we make equal to 0, and if you look here, what is the highest power of s? It is 1. So it is first order system. For example, this is RC circuit, thermal type system. Those are the practical example of first order system. Okay. Now second order system, if highest power of complex variable is present in characteristic equation or the denominator of transfer function is 2, then it is called second order system. Like that we can say third order, fourth order, fifth order we can say. Okay, there is no problem. Now for a unity feedback system, we can see this is the term. Okay, so denominator, if we make that equal to 0, then it is called characteristic equation. So the denominator of transfer function, if we make that equal to 0, that equation is called characteristic equation of the transfer function. In that case, we can see the highest power of s equal to 2. Okay, so the system is second order system, and that example we have seen for RLC circuit, for robotic control system, we will get second order transfer function, okay, or second order system. Now we have to say derive transfer function of a control system. Okay, this is say we have block. We have one block here. This is your controller block whose gain is Ka. Okay, manipulated variable applying to a plant whose transfer function is this. Feedback is applying whose transfer function is zero point 0.5, and we are generating a negative feedback. Okay, error signal applied to this controller. Now we can apply some rule to find out about this block reduction rule, and the we have to we have to learn this rule, Mason's gain rule, that is applicable for signal flow graph, and how to find out if blocks are connected in series, parallel, or any other combination. How we can modify that or reduce that block diagram into a single block diagram, that we can learn later in the next class, but next lecture. Now we have to just find out what is the transfer function of Cs by Rs. Now these two blocks are connected in series, so what we can do, we can multiply these two gain together, G1 into G2. Okay, so G1, these two connected in series, so G1 into G2, then we have this feedback, negative feedback, right? We have this negative feedback. So that formula is G divided by 1 plus GH, and G we can write as a whole G1 into G2. Okay, so G1 into G2 divided by 1 plus G1 G2 into H. So we can put Ka G2 value 1 plus G1 G2 zero point 0.5. So we can calculate that, we can find out this transfer function, and we can select some value of Ka. This is the variable that we can twin, or we can change this variable Ka. Okay, if you put K equal to 3, then we get this transfer function. Okay, and this is the quadratic equation. Okay, so if you make this equal to 0, this equal to 0, then we can find out roots of that equation, that is these two are the root. Minus 2 plus minus j2 is the root of these two equation. This equation, let me tell you that once again. X square plus 4s plus 8 equal to 0. If you find out the roots of these two equation, those two roots are minus 2 plus minus j2. Okay, the denominator set equal to 0 is called the characteristic equation. From that we can find out the roots of the equation. Okay, this is a quadratic equation, so we can apply the Scissor-Acharya formula, that is minus b plus minus root over b square minus 4ac, okay, divided by 2a. Here it is a means here 1, this is your b, this is your c. So you can calculate and you can find out this value. Okay, now the characteristic equation, if it is second order, what will happen? Okay, now this, if this is the system, we can take m as a common factor. Okay, so that factor we are getting, so this is the factor that is that provides the second order equation. This is the second order equation, what is written as a square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. Okay, that we can write using the Scissor-Acharya formula, minus b plus minus root over b square minus 4ac, okay, divided by 2a. Okay, if you find, if you put this value a equal to 1, b equal to 2 zeta n, c equal to omega n square, if you put here, you can find that this will be two roots, minus two roots value are minus zeta omega n plus minus omega n root of zeta square minus 1. Okay, now if we put zeta value, for different value of zeta we will get different value of roots, right? If we put zeta equal to 1, okay, so 1 minus 1, that will be 0, so it will be roots are equal at the same root. Okay, if zeta equal to 1, if zeta greater than 1, okay, so roots will be real but different. okay, greater than 1, real but different. This will be root of 1.1 minus 1, so some value plus and then minus, so to different root. Zeta less than 1, that means this become root of minus 1 into some factor. So roots are complex conjugate. Okay, so from quadratic equation, that is the second order system, we can find out three types of root. Okay, we can find out two values of roots, and depend on value of zeta, okay, roots are different. If it is greater than 1, roots are real but different. If equal to 1, at the same value. If less than 1, or the range is greater than 0, less than 1, then roots are complex. Now about characteristic equation, and from that how we can find out stability of the system. The denominator polynomial of the transfer function when set equal to 0 is called characteristic equation. Okay, so this is the factor and we can make it equal to 0. So the roots of the characteristic equation are the poles of the system. Okay, now what is the zero and pole, that will tell you. Now this is poles of system, and how we can plot that? We can plot that in S plane. Okay, we can plot the value of poles or value of roots of the equation, characteristic equation. This is your sigma. So S is a complex variable which is nothing but sigma plus j omega. This is your real part and this is your imaginary part. So this is your real axis, imaginary axis. This is your minus say 3 plus minus j 4j. Okay, from this we can plot, and 0 are from the numerator. From numerator we can find out 0 of the system. From denominator we can find out poles of the system, and poles are basically marked by cross, zeros are basically marked by a zero symbol. So this is the location of 0. S plus 5, that means what you have to write, S plus 5 equal to 0 you have to assume. Okay, so what is the value of S? S equal to minus 5. So at S equal to minus 5 there is a 0, and pole are at minus 3 plus minus j4. So these are the location of the pole. This is the location of 0. Okay, so the roots of the characteristic equation are the poles of a system. The roots of transfer function numerator are called zeros of the system. Now poles are zeros are the critical frequencies. What will happen at the pole? The transfer function becomes infinite. Okay, and at the 0 transfer function becomes 0. Okay, let me show you that proof. Okay, I will show you that proof later. Okay, now there are several. Let me show you that proof first. Okay, so the roots of denominator polynomial of a transfer function is called pole. So this is your denominator transfer function. If you make equal to 0 and you can solve it, you can find out the value of s1 s2 like that way. Okay, those are the poles of the system. And from the numerator polynomial, if you make that equal to 0, and you can find out the value of s1 s2 up to sn, those are the zeros of the system. Numerator polynomial of the transfer function are the zeros of the system. The poles of the system marked by x, zeros of the system by small 0 o. Okay, system order is always equal to number of poles of the transfer function. Okay, because what factor? Order is what is the highest power of n, I mean highest power of s. If this is s cube term plus some factor, so here we can get three values of pole. Okay, three values of poles we will get. That means what? The system order is always equal to number of poles of the transfer function. Same. Okay, now what is going on? Now whatever the numerator term, okay, we can factorize that and we can write in this particular form: s minus z1, s minus z2, s minus zn. There are m number of roots of the equation. P we can write for pole s minus p1, s minus p2 up to s minus pn. Okay, now if we put if we put s equal to z1, okay, or if we put s equal to z1, that means whatever the value here, s minus z1, so from that what we can find, s equal to z1, s minus z1 equal to 0, so s equal to z1. So if we put this s value, that means the value of 0 into this equation, so s equal to z1, if we write it here, z1 minus z1, what will be the value? That it becomes 0, right? The function, transfer function becomes 0 if we put any of the 0 value in that equation. So s minus z1 equal to 0, so s equal to z1 or s equal to z2. So if we put z2 value in this equation, so here it will be z1 z2 minus z2, so it becomes 0. 0 by something equal to 0. So if we put the value of numerator, roots of the numerator into the transfer function, your transfer function value goes to 0. That's why it is called zeros of the system. Okay, so 0 is the frequency makes which system 0 is the frequency at which system becomes 0, transfer function value becomes 0. Now, if we put say pole value, pole means the roots of the denominator. So if s equal to p1, p2, those values are there, right? From that equation, polynomial equation. If we put p equal to s equal to p1, so p1 minus p1 equal to 0. Something by 0 is nothing but infinity, right? So what it is going on? If we put the roots of the denominator polynomial into the transfer function value becomes infinite. Okay, that's why it is called poles of a system. Now zeros means it becomes, transfer function becomes 0 if we put value of 0 into the transfer function, but if we put value of pole, which are the roots of the denominator polynomial, if we put those pole value into the transfer function, your transfer function becomes infinite. Okay, so hence the name pole, where field is infinite. Okay, so poles make your system output equal to infinite, zeros make your system output equal to 0. Okay, so this is the application of, this is the point of pole and 0. Okay, that we are finding out from the transfer function. We can plot that. Okay, now about stability. Okay, one is called absolute stability, another one is called relative stability. Absolute stability means if a system in equilibrium is momentarily excited by command or disturbance inputs, okay, and those inputs are then removed, then the system must return to equilibrium if it is to be called absolutely stable. That means if there is a system, okay, there is a output and input, okay, what we are doing, the system is in equilibrium, that means we are getting a particular output, okay. Now this system is excited by some input, some disturbances, whatever, then what happen, your output, okay, will vary, and after some time it reaches the equilibrium, okay, then it is called absolutely stable system. Okay, so if after removing the, we are applying the input or disturbances for some time, then we remove this input, okay, output may change, but it returns to equilibrium after some time, then it is called absolutely stable. If action persists indefinitely after excitation is removed, that means it is oscillatory forever, then it is absolutely unstable. The relatively stable means if a system is stable, now how close is it to becoming a unstable one, that is called relative stability. Okay, that means how much, what we have to do to make the system into instability mode, that we have to find out, then it is called relative stability. Relative stability indicators are basically gain margin, phase margin. Now about this point we will study it later. Okay, so This is about pole 0, okay, and stability. Now stability of control system from transfer function, how we can find out? The poles and zeros of the system are plotted in S plane to check the stability of the system. So this is your say is equal to sigma plus j omega, so we can plot that. Okay, now say for example, if all the poles of the system, now the stability of the system basically depends on poles of the system, okay, because poles value makes your output equal to infinity, zero's value makes your output equal to 0. Output 0 means this is okay, there is no problem, output is a constant, it is 0, but okay, we are getting output, but output equal to infinity means it is unbounded, right? If it is value is infinity, output is unbounded. So poles are responsible for your stability, because if you put poles value into the transfer function, your output becomes infinity. That's why poles are responsible for stability of a linear system. Okay, if all the poles of stable system lie in the left half of the S plane, then it is called stable system. Okay, that means all the pole, okay, that should lie in left half of S plane, then it is called stable system. If any one of the pole lie on the right half of the plane, then it is called unstable system. And if pole lie on imaginary axis, okay, imaginary axis, that you have to consider, okay, imaginary axis, it is said to be marginal states. Okay, but there is another point that I will discuss later. Okay, so if all the poles are on left plane of the S plane, system is stable. All the pole on, if any one of the pole on right half of the S plane, it is unstable system. On imaginary axis, stable system, sorry, marginally stable system. Marginally stable means it is on verge of instability. If you go right hand side, it will be unstable, go left hand side, it will be stable. Okay. Now there is 3 points that we have to discuss, that is critically damped system, over damped system, under damped system. That means what? If we have oscillation and this magnitude is reducing, okay, that is called under damped system. When zeta value is, when zeta value is between 1 to 0 for second order system, then it is called under damped system. Okay, critically damped means when this zeta value equal to 1, that means we have same root, we have same root of the equation. Okay, here roots are complex number. Okay, roots are complex, roots are same, and over them means this zeta value greater than 1, that means roots are real and distinct. Okay, real and distinct, that means different root, zeta greater than 1. This is applicable for second order or more than that, higher than second order systems. This is the response, output response, that we will discuss later about output response, how we can find out that. Okay, now let me just show you one point, that if we have a double root, okay, on this real axis, we have the value as minus zeta omega. Okay, at any time the roots are equal and real. Okay, equal and real, the system is critically damped, no overshoot. Overshoot means whatever the your steady state value, final value, from that how much it is going up, upwards, so that is called overshoot. It is going over the final value, then going down again over, then it is settling down. Okay, so how much time it will take to settle, how much time it to reach, this is the maximum overshoot. Okay. So if we have double root, it is critically damped. If we have real and distinct, unequal and real roots, it is called over damped, no overshoot. Here you can see this is going to the value, constant value, it is reaching the constant value. For critical damped, it reaches at earlier time than over damped case. Now if we have complex root, it has overshoot. Okay, so we have some oscillation. Okay, we have some oscillation. And if we have roots on imaginary axis, complex root, okay, then what will happen? Your system is called marginally stable. That means it oscillates. It's oscillation with respect to time. Okay, so it is basically oscillating in nature. So it is marginally stable, but it is not stable at all. It is not going to reach to a final value. It is always oscillatory. Okay, so these are the four types: critically damped, overdamped, underdamped, undamped. This is called undamped system. Undamped. Okay, so there is no damping. So in that case, your zeta value is equal to 0. Okay, that is the condition. Now, if we have uh, roots on right half plane, what happens? The response is like this. It is start magnitude is increasing with respect to time. So it is going to oscillate forever. Okay. So this magnitude going to infinity as t goes to infinity. If we have real roots on right half plane, the response is increasing manner. So at t equal to infinity is goes to infinity. That's why systems are unstable. Okay, unstable. Okay. Now for example, let us take a fast transfer function. Okay, c divided by as plus b, where a equal to 1, b 3, c 10. So what we can write here, that c equal to 10 divided by uh, s plus 3. Okay, so from that what we can write, what is the roots of the equation, s equal to minus 3. Okay, so that is the pole. So a is equal to minus 3, we have one pole. So we can plot that. Okay, so what we can see, this is on right left half plane. Okay, so system is stable, that we can conclude. Okay, similarly we can write one another one, like say this is 10 divided by s plus 1, s plus 3. Okay, then what you can write, poles are at is equal to minus 1 and is equal to minus 3. So minus 3 minus 1. Okay, two poles are there, both are on left half plane, so system is stable. Okay, now if we include one, that is s minus 1. Okay, so s minus 1 means s equal to 1. So at s equal to 1 we have a pole. So we have a pole on right half plane, so system is unstable. So that is how we can find out system stability. Okay, or stability of a control system from the transfer function. Only you have to do, take the denominator, find out its roots, plot in S plane, see whether all the poles are on left half plane or not. Okay. Now another way we can define stability as, the system is said to be stable if for any bounded input the output of the system also bounded. It is called Bibo stability. Thus, for any bounded input, the output either remain constant or decrease with time. So this is a step input we are applying to a particular system, and output is this way. That means it is increases, then decreasing, and it remain constant. Okay. So this is an example of bounded output. Output is bounded, it is not going to infinity, it is having some finite value. Okay, so it is stable system. Now say, for an bounded input the output is not bounded, system is unstable. That means if we are having a step input, okay, and applying to a plant, and it is increasing in this particular fashion, e to the power at, that means what, e to the power at means it is exponentially with time, and at t equal to infinity it will be infinity. Now if the response is e to the power minus 80, then it will be stable system. Why? E to the power minus 80 means it will start from some point and it will end to 0, right? E to the power minus 80, because if you put t equal to infinity, e to the power minus infinity equal to 0. Okay, so this is stable but this is unstable. So if input is bounded, output should be bounded. This is the bounded example, this is bounded output example, but this is unbounded. It is going to infinity, diverges. So it is called unstable system. Okay. So this is the example Vivo versus transfer function that I have taken. That is, if we have a system like 1 by s plus 3 and another one 1 by s minus 3. 1 plus s plus 1 by s plus 3 means pole at s equal to minus 3. S plus 3 equal to 0, characteristic equation, find out value of s equal to minus 3. Okay, so s equal to minus 3, you have a pole, so system is stable. Okay, here this equal to 0, characteristic equation, so s value equal to 3. Okay, so it is unstable. Now with respect to bounded input, how you can find out bounded output? So s gs we know. Okay, gs we know, we can find out its inverse Laplace transform. Okay, so inverse Laplace transform of this factor is what? E to the power minus 3t ut. Okay, so your output is equal to what? E to the power minus 3t into ut. Okay, so e to the power minus 3t is nothing but this one, right? So this is stable. Now if you take 1 divided by s minus 3 term, if you take Laplace inverse of that, it will be e to the power 3t into ut. Ut means us we can take to right hand side. Us convert into time domain, that will be ut, and 1 by s minus 3 is nothing but e to the power 3t. So here e to the power 3t into ut, that means it is going to unbounded. Okay, going to unbounded. So this is unstable. So this is your unstable system. Okay, and this is your stable system, and that we can find out from the transfer function directly, or we can find out, we can apply inverse Laplace transform and we can find out in time domain and we can find out the stability. Okay, so this is about stability. Now we can plot that two point. This is your e to the power minus 3t and this is the e to the power plus 3t. So it is increasing to infinity as time goes to infinity, and this is goes to 0. Okay, so this is stable system and this is unstable system. Now e to the power at, okay, let me just tell you, if you take Laplace transform over that, it will be 1 divided by s minus a, and e to the power minus at, if we take Laplace transform of that, it is e to the power s plus a. That's why from this plus we are getting e to the power minus 3t term, because it is e to the power minus 80, and from this plus from this minus term we are getting this e to the power 80 term. Okay, so this is all about this transfer function. From this lecture we have to remember the point, what is transfer function. This is applicable only for linear system because initial condition should be equal to 0. Then how to find out from transfer function, how we can find out uh, pole and 0. Poles we can find out from denominator, zeros from numerator. If we put 0 value in transfer function, output will become 0. If we put pole value in the transfer function, output becomes infinite. That's why poles are responsible for stability of the transfer function, that we can find out. And the conditions are, we have to put all the poles should be on left up plane, then system stable, right up plane system unstable, any one of the pole on right up plane system unstable, on imaginary axis system becomes emergent stable. Okay, so this is all about the transfer function and stability of the system that we can find out. Okay, so this is all about this particular lecture. In next lecture I will discuss about block diagram reduction technique. Okay, that is, if we have a complicated system, how we can find out transfer function of that complicated system. Okay, by applying a technique which is called block diagram reduction technique. Okay, so thank you so much. I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.